In 2080, NASA scientists believe we can and must send people to Jupiter and Saturn's moons. Space travel timeline of NASA. Exoplanet robotic missions and base camps on the Moon in the late 2020s. A crewed mission to Mars is planned for the late 2030s. Robotic missions to Tau Ceti, 11.9 light-years away, in the 2030s. In the 2040s, robotic missions are launched to the TRAPPIST-1 system 40 light-years away. Robotic missions to distant stars in the 2050s. In the 2060s, a crewed mission will be launched to the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Mission to Jupiter, probably Callisto because it is sufficiently removed from Jupiter's intense radiation fields, in the 2070s. Crewed missions to Saturn's moons, likely Titan and/or Enceladus, in the 2080s. We will conduct a crewed mission in 2250 to locate exoplanets such as Proxima Centauri, 4.2 light-years away. In 2300, a robotic mission is launched to TRAPPIST-1, a system 40 light-years away. A crewed mission to distant stars halfway to the Milky Way's center in the late 2400s. Off-world colonization is a fascinating prospect, but it also carries a dire warning about humanity becoming a multi-world species. Avoiding the Great Filter, a projected timeframe for human expansion off-world, is the title of the paper produced by NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, JPL. Based on empirical data on space exploration and computing power during the first 6 decades of the space age, it constructs a model. Historically, that began with the launch of Sputnik 1 in 1957. It projects the earliest possible launch dates for human crewed missions to selected solar systems and interstellar destinations from cislunar space, not beyond the Moon. Along with looking at what we've achieved so far, it uses Moore's law, an indicator of technological developments. Moore's law states that the number of transistors on a microchip doubles every 2 years, and the cost of computers is halved. In addition, microprocessors are growing exponentially. Is the universe welcoming us? Could it be hostile? We could stand here and wonder forever. Alternatively, we could turn away from this planet and explore the universe. Do we have the courage to see it through? Would we run home or would we stay? It's only a matter of time before we find out. Straight up, the edge of space is only 100 kilometers away, in our sights again as Artemis and SpaceX focus their efforts on moon bases. There are just over 400,000 kilometers between the Earth and the Moon. Taking that giant leap is essential. According to NASA officials, astronauts are on course to live and work on the Moon by the decade's end. Artemis 1 is the first step to long-term deep space exploration, says the head of Orion's lunar program. Before 2030, humans could live in habitats on the Moon and operate rovers to support their activities. During this decade, we are most likely to see people living for extended periods depending on how long we remain on the surface. They will have habitats and rovers. It is planned to send people down to the surface where they will live on that surface and do science. The giant rocket topped by the Orion spacecraft launched on November 16, 2022 from Cape Canaveral in Florida, following delays due to technical difficulties and hurricanes. The Artemis 1 spacecraft carries 3 mannequins that will record stress and strain during the mission. As of now, the rocket is about 83,000 miles, 134,000 kilometers from the Moon. This is the first step towards long-term deep space exploration for the United States and the world. Human spaceflight and deep space exploration are part of NASA's history on this particular day, but it is also part of the history of everyone who is a fan of human spaceflight and deep space exploration. After flying within 60 miles of the Moon, the spacecraft will continue for 40,000 miles before swinging back around and splashing down in the Pacific Ocean on December the 11th. During the 25-day mission, the spacecraft is expected to travel 1.3 million miles, the most significant distance ever flown by a spacecraft built for humans. Upon re-entering Earth's atmosphere, the spacecraft will travel at about 25,000 miles per hour, causing its heat shield to reach approximately 2,800 degrees centigrade, 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. A splashdown is expected off San Diego's coast. In 2026, Artemis 3 may be the first human mission to land on the Moon since Apollo 17 in December 1972. NASA intends to put the first woman on the Moon on that mission, with a subsequent trip landing a person of color on the surface. After a successful Artemis mission, humans can go around the Moon and back in Artemis 2 and 3. Moving forward to Mars is possible. Astronauts will live and work at the Lunar Gateway, a space station named after the twin sister of Apollo, as part of the Artemis program. That's a bigger step which will take 2 years, so learning beyond Earth orbit is important. There are spectacular yellow clouds on Venus that reflect the sunlight. That's why it's one of the brightest planets in our solar system. A sister planet to ours, as far as size and gravity are concerned, she is about the same as Earth. The clouds of Venus are dazzling, but they contain deadly sulfuric acid. Carbon dioxide chokes the planet's atmosphere. There is toxic air and unbearable pressure. Alarm bells are ringing that we shouldn't go, but people still believe we should go here instead of Mars. The temperature is approaching 500 degrees Celsius, and it's hot. There is a great deal of variation in temperature here. At night, temperatures are minus 170 degrees. By midday, it is 400 degrees. Scientists argue that a study of Earth's sister is worthwhile despite its hellish environment. Human exploration of Venus seems more appealing. In a flyby mission, astronauts would gaze down at the planet from the safety of their spacecraft instead of walking on its surface. However, there are some downsides as well. A group of experts advocate that our nearest neighbor should be the first target for a crewed mission to another planet rather than Mars. It has the advantage, however, of being significantly closer, making a return trip to Venus doable in a year as opposed to a potentially 3-year round trip to Mars. Flybys would be scientifically valuable and could provide a valuable precursor to visiting Mars in the future. Venus has a challenging surface environment, so it gets a bad rap. It has practical arguments for incorporating a Venus flyby into a crewed Mars landing that NASA hopes to accomplish by late 2030. The current NASA paradigm is Moon to Mars. Some people advocate Moon to Venus, Venus to Mars. Venus is indeed in the wrong direction, but a slingshot around Venus, referred to as a gravity assist, could reduce travel time and fuel consumption on the way to Mars. NASA's goal of crewed flybys of Venus is a natural stepping stone toward achieving that goal. We must understand how to escape our cradle and move into the universe. As you'd be visiting another planet for the first time, it would have some cachet besides just going out into the middle of nowhere. You would learn how humans work in deep space without committing to a complete Mars mission. The scientific community is also paying more attention to Venus. Thousands of exoplanets have been discovered, and scientists want to know how and why Venus, a planet with similar mass and distance from the Sun, has infernal surface conditions. An article co-edited called Meeting with the Venus Goddess makes a case for the hypothetical mission, suggesting astronauts could observe Venus's active volcanoes, search for ancient life, and deploy teleoperated rovers, drones, and balloons.